First and foremost, before we get started, I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while lunch is truth, and also to those elect that is scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the title of today's lesson is Watchman Report, More Prophecies. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope this will help you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, I have a few news articles here. But we'll start here first with this one by NPR. And it reads that Trump says he will reopen Alcatraz for the most ruthless and violent prisoners. So we're seeing this was dated May the 5th, so the day is May the 7th, so it's just a couple of days ago. It says here, President Trump says he is ordering federal agencies to rebuild and reopen Alcatraz, the notorious maximum security prison that closed more than 60 years ago. So I am directing the Bureau of Prisons together with the Department of Justice, the FBI, and Homeland Security to reopen a substantially enlarge and rebuild Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders, Trump said in a post on Truth Social. It says the historic former U.S. Penitentiary Alcatraz, opened in 1934, is widely known as the Rock. Said its building dominates the craggy landscape of Alcatraz Island, which lies about 1.5 miles north of San Francisco. Frame fisherman wharf. Alcatraz once housed dangerous criminals such as the infamous mobster Al Capone under an incarceration strategy that sought to concentrate difficult prisoners in one facility, segregating them from less dangerous inmates in the prison system. So that's all we're gonna get on that. But we're seeing right now that that Donald Trump is rolling out this what you called Project 25. You got to go look at it. You'll see whereby they going to start housing a lot of peoples in these different facilities, these prisons. And so when you go to Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10, it said, the devil should cast some of you into prison. So right now, why all of a sudden after 60 years he want to reopen Alcatraz? So we already know they had many movies that they done on Alcatraz. The movie called The Rock. I think Sean Connery played in that movie, and also the other one, Escape from Alcatraz. I think it was two remakes of it, I think, but the one I remember was the one with Clint Eastwood was in. I loved it, that movie. But one thing about it, we already knowing that they're getting ready to roll out their plan, their agenda. And one thing about it, we're constantly warning you what this devil is getting ready to do. Why this man all of a sudden, he's saying right here, the most ruthless and violent prisoner. So one thing about it, that's a code word for really basically for the people of color. They already think that you're ruthless and you're very violent. We already violent. We already know what they had deemed the northern tribe as savages, but we already know who the real savages are. But one thing about it, we already know that he's getting ready to try to fill his agenda, his plan. You know what I'm saying? Which in fact is just total control. You know, the NWO. So we know that we're very close to these times. So we're saying right now, all of a sudden, this man is not stopping. He has not stopped. You know, it been all gas. You know, all the way. You know, he constantly rolling. He constantly moving in warp speed because what? He knowing that his time is very short. So right here, Trump says he will reopen Alcatraz for the most ruthless and violent prisoners. So one thing about it is that we knowing that every day, like when we turn the social media on, they always talking about this deportation, placing someone in some type of prison or some type of a facility. You see where these things are going. You know what I'm saying? A man shall desire to go into shit and shall not be able. Because that is about it. They get ready to lock everything down. Also, they get ready to incarcerate a lot of peoples, and also they get ready to bring the hokey pokeys back. They get ready to bring that grain of rice. They get ready to introduce it. So we're already knowing that this sensor, we'll put it like that, this RFID sensor is going to work hand in hand with this cryptocurrency, this new money, this digital money. So we coming upon this time. And also we know that war is right upon our shores. Also, tensions is constantly rising left and right. And also we already knowing that things is constantly picking up against India and Pakistan, keeping our eyes on that also. That's why the Lord set up Watchmen. So these things are constantly picking up left and right. Also, was in the news. I think I had a report on that too. Let's get to that too right quick. I don't want to jump the gun. Let's see where it's at. I got to find it first. This one here, it says they want to. I think let's get this one here by CNN. It's just one I'm just picking out. It said Israel vows to escalate war with new plan to conquer Gaza or the Gaza Strip. So right here, we already know what this is all about. Another land grab, and also they constantly trying to force the Palestinians out. Really, in fact, neither one of them belongs there. The Lord already said when you go to Luke chapter 21 that that Jerusalem will be trodden down by the Gentile until the time that the Gentile be fulfilled. So we right at that particular time. So we already knowing this right here. It's a declaration of war. We already knowing they having a constantly down there bombing Yemen. And also they still having this fight with the Houthi rebels. So it's a lot of things that's going on. Also with Iran. Iran already has warned that if the U.S. or Israel attack their nuclear facility, they're going to attack them. So this all is back and forth. But the Lord already said that that these things will constantly but these rumors of war and different things, events like this will happen, but the end is not yet. So we're at the beginning of sorrow. It says here, Israel vowed to escalate war with new plan to conquer Gaza. So let's just get a little bit of this. It says here, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the population of Gaza will be displaced to the south after his security cabinet approved and expanded military operation in the enclave that a minister described as a plan to conquer the territory. So that's all we're going to get at that. But so we seeing their plan. Also Donald Trump had made he called himself making a joke of that he was going to turn the Gaza Strip into like what they got in New Jersey, the Atlantic City. The new Atlantic City. So we already know we're not ignorant of Satan's device. So right here, constantly, this devil is constantly making moves, left and right. But we already know that we got to keep our eyes upon Israel. The least of the flock should draw them out. So we're right upon war, whether people believe it or not. So Salakia for the rain. I'm sitting in my vehicle right now doing this lesson. But one thing about it, that's the Lord's work. But one thing about it though is this, that if you don't believe that we're in the end time, you're in for a rude awakening, because these prophecies are speaking loud and clear, left and right. The signs of the times are here. So now let's get to this one here. Let's go to this one. It's another one I want to get here. Let's go to this one right here about these ports. We've been having a lot of talks about these ports. They saying that, it's going to be food shortage within weeks. You know what I'm saying? About around, I think it's around May 15 or 19, somewhere up in there. But when they seeing a sharp decline on these ports, the one in California, the one in New Orleans, the one on the East Coast, and many other ports, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be affected by this tariff that Donald Trump is constantly, trying to be a dictator. But one thing about it, this is all a part of the plan. Keep telling you that things are going to get better. It's going to be a bumpy road. Everything going to smooth out. But one thing about it, never trust thy enemy. You know what I'm saying? So let's read this right quick. About this here about news break. It said California's twin ports face 30% cargo slump. Said thousands of jobs could disappear. So right here is very important right here, because this is how everything comes into America. Most things come from China, and one thing about it is that we knowing that if this cargo or this freight be cut off, we already know that all hell would break loose. So we already know this was exactly what they want, order out of chaos. Let's read a little bit of this article. It says Southern California said a steep decline in cargo volume. Said California twin mega ports said Los Angeles and Long Beach is raising alarms across the U.S. economy as new tariffs on Chinese goods take hold and ripple through supply chains to job markets and retail shelves. So they already tell you, they warning people that these shelves are going to be empty. So the sewn places are getting ready to be unsewn. So we coming upon this time that we have never seen before. That's what we constantly warn you about, left and right. These things are here. They are at the door. So right now, these ports are getting ready to have a major decline. And also these truck drivers are constantly complaining that, they're not getting the loads or the freight that they normally used to get. So things right now are looking very bad. We already know that this will cause a great economic collapse. Also, we know that the stock market is constantly going up and down. A lot of uncertainties, a lot of desperation is getting ready to set in. So we're here, man. These things are here. It's another one I want to get. I'm trying to see this one here. India, this here about India. It said India attacks Pakistan as fears a wider war between nuclear power grows. So see right here. Let's get this one here. I ain't gonna read. I'm just gonna read the title. So you see it right. India attacks Pakistan as fears a wider war between nuclear powers grows. So one thing about it, I think it was some type of missile that hit Pakistan. You're saying that there was like some type of ballistic missile. I don't know whether it was nuclear or not, but we see it right here. Let's get this just a little bit of this, so for edification purpose. It said India launched a military operation against Pakistan on Wednesday. Said weeks after 5 armed militants killed 26 non-Muslims in the 2025 Faram attack in Kashmir. So so we seeing right here that things is constantly picking up, things are constantly rising. So it's right at the boiling point every day. Rumors of wars are all over the place. That's what we go over left and right. These things are getting ready to happen. So now D.J. Donald Trump talking about opening up Alcatraz. You know what I'm saying, man? They're already talking about these other bases. What are I can't think of the name of over the one in Cuba. That military base. I can't think of the name of the Guantanamo Bay. That's another one. So this man is right here. He's looking to house a lot of people. What they're looking to do is to try to, the people of color is going to be the target. So we know that Jacob Trouble is very close at hand. So now let's go here. I think that's the only report. The last one I had. Let's get this right quick. Let's go here to Let's go ahead to Revelation chapter 2, and we'll start the videos in a minute. Let's go ahead to Revelation chapter 2, get a quick precept before we start today's video. And once again, I hope that you will get edified. Salakia, Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10, Salakia. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thy faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So we already knowing that who is the devil that the Bible speaks of, the so-called white man. So you see him right there in that first news article that that he's trying to reopen Alcatraz, trying to get funding for that, to get the okay for that. So this man right here, he's rolling out that plan, Project 25, also the King Alfred plan. Also, when you get around to look those up, and also look up Lockstep, the Operation Lockstep. Look that up. That's another one. I can't think of it right offhand. But this man is constantly putting these orders into place. Certain things that he's trying to make happen to force you in a chokehold. Getting ready to lock down everything. But a lot of people are still thinking that everything will be all right. Everything look fine and dandy right now. But this is the quiet before the storm. So let's get one more. This rebellious house. Let's go here to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 12 and verse 12. I quote this a lot too also, and that's exactly where our people mindset. Ezekiel chapter 12, I think is around verse 2. Ezekiel chapter 12 and verse 2, Salakia. And it reads, says, Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, which have eyes to see and see not. They have ears to hear and hear not, for they are a rebellious house. So one thing about it, a lot of people are listening and hearing, what's going on around the world. Also, they are hearing what the prophets are saying, but they constantly were despising the words of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. Also, they seeing these things with their own eye, but guess what? They putting it behind them. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not spiritual. They're carnally minded. But carnally minded will lead you to death. They're of the world. We're not of the world. You know what I'm saying? And we see it right now. The Lord is constantly shifting. We're in a shifting season. The Lord is separating the elect from the two-thirds. We're seeing that right now. The Lord is doing the separating. Also, the Lord is going to bring forth that judgment like we have never seen before. So let's start today's video. And after the video, we will start a lesson. And I hope that you will get edified.
More than 1 million tourists take a boat from San Francisco to Alcatraz each year for a chance to see where Al Capone and other hardened gangsters lived out the end of their lives. In the 1940s and 50s, there was no prison harsher than Alcatraz, its lore making it a sensation. But in 1963, after just 29 years, the federal penitentiary closed. Too expensive to run with the salt water surrounding it, deteriorating the buildings.
It's a small prison, too. Its maximum capacity was 336, and it was never filled.
Is Alcatraz in any way, shape, or form ready to be a prison right now?
No, there's no running water, there's no sanitation, there's no heat.
Gone, too, would be the $60 million tourism dollars generated for the National Park Service and its partners. Former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown has considered Alcatraz's impact on San Francisco. If it were taken away, what would that do to the city?
It would hurt the city.
The former mayor had his own proposal for a casino to be built on Alcatraz.
Just think if we could really put something there other than where Al Capone slept.
But instead, Congress made it a national landmark for the public. Now it would be up to Congress again to decide if the president's proposal is viable.
How did you decide to reopen Alcatraz? Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz, how will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making, and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, and just represented something strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country, and so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that, and we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot.
Well, breaking fuck the news. Not only has Israel officially announced that they are going to try to take control of the entire Gaza Strip and permanently stay there, Israel is calling up tens of thousands of reservists to expand the war in Gaza. So everybody, the writing's on the wall. It's officially going to happen. You know what the what if is. I have to be careful with how I say it on here because I've been flagged and got a strike on my account one time already. But yes, the worst that you could possibly imagine is about to happen.
So now let's start here. We start here first in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. We're already knowing what's getting ready to happen. The devil's getting ready to come down with great wrath because he knowing what? That he has a very short time. So that's why this man is constantly moving in warp speed. So why he's wanting to, every time where you look around, he's trying to get more prison, trying to reopen Alcatraz. He's just everywhere, war, the war drums are constantly beating. Also, he over there in Africa, messing with that, they messing with that guy, what's the name of him? Abraham Torres, so that's a lot of things are constantly picking up. We already seen that these nations are getting ready to turn against what Babylon the Great, which in fact is that whore, they get ready to burn the whore. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12, it said, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that his time has, knowing that he has but a short time. So we seeing right now that this man, seeing that his days are determined, he's going to try to bring forth this new system, of control, to make you a petrol slave, to put that badge of servitude upon you. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it is that we already knowing that it's already here, but one thing about it, all they have to do is to announce it, but it's on the Lord's side. So the Lord's calling these things to happen all around the world. So we already know that the stage is set, all things are ready. So this devil is getting ready to roll. We constantly warn you left and right. The people of color, Jacob Trouble, is getting ready to begin. So we're seeing that the love of men is constantly waxing cold. Also, the spirit of vengeance is working overtime also. So, man, we're here. Let's go hear the psalm. This man Inward thought that he would rule forever. So that's why this man constantly doing all. I think it's Proverbs chapter 49, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. No, so like it's Psalms that I'm thinking. So like it. Let's go back out. I always get it mixed up. It's Psalm chapter 49 and around verse, one moment. It's right here, verse 11. Psalm chapter 49 and verse 11 said, their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, and you already know who that is, the so-called white man. So, his inward thought that he will rule forever, but one thing about it, he's in for a rude awakening. That's why he constantly putting all these different things into play. Open up Alcatraz, telling you all these different executive orders that he's constantly coming with left and right. This real ID that went in effect today. So right now, a lot of people, Ezekiel chapter 12 verse 12, they are seeing and they are hearing, but they don't want to believe. So but one thing about the Lord already said, what if some don't believe? It's gonna be none effect. We really don't give a damn, because one thing about it, these prophecies are speaking loud and clear. So it's time to seek the Lord while he can be found, while he is near. So we know we're coming upon that great economic collapse also. Let's go here, because we're at the beginning of sorrow. Let's get this one right quick. Second Ezra chapter 16, and we'll start up at verse 17. Said, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? And woe me, destruction. The destruction is coming upon us at a fast pace. All sorts of things that you have never seen before. And you'll never ever see again. A lot of people are getting ready to become a believer, but it will be too late. Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famines and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? What shall you do? You know what I'm saying? We're going to what? Trust and believe in Yahweh by Hashem Abishai. So we already know that we're upon this time. The beginning of wars, the beginning of what? Of mournings, the beginning of famines. Great plagues, great pestilence are right upon us. You know what I'm saying? You get ready to be tried. These evils are constantly growing. That ill time, which in fact is Jacob's trouble. You know what I'm saying? The beginning of sorrow, but the end is not yet. Verse 19 said, behold, famine, plagues, tribulation, and anguish are sent as scourges for a memory. So these are sent for scourges for a memory. So one thing about it, you gotta be circumspect, redeem the time wisely, because we are living in end time, real time. And we always go over certain things over and over and over. But one thing about it, some of our people are not going to get it this time around. They are the 2/3. They get ready to be cut off and die on this side. One thing about it, we're going to keep not silent. We're going to constantly do the will of the Lord until the Lord shut it down. We know we're coming upon that time. The internet going to be shut down. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things are getting ready to happen. And one thing about it, the only way you're going to be prepared, you know what I'm saying, you got to be, locked in, you know what I'm saying, seated and grounded. And you got to be a part of the hopeful elect. And one thing about it, man, that's what we asking the Lord, each and every day to have mercy upon us, Lord. Pray without ceasing, because things are getting ready to get very, very bad. Verse 20 said, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourge. So a lot of people right now not mindful. This is constantly going on like everything is normal, but things are constantly increasing. Things are getting ready to go out of control, order out of chaos. All hell is getting ready to break loose. Constantly warning you left and right. And a lot of people right now thinking that they are a good case, but you're in for a rude awakening. Verse 21 said, behold, victors shall be good and cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be good, to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. So one thing about it, sword also goes into judgment, and famine, pestilence, plagues, outbreaks. So a lot of things are constantly happening, about these outbreaks, HIV, a different one. I don't want to go into them, too deep, because, they will pull the video down. So great confusion, that will order out of chaos. So these things are right before our eyes, man. We are constantly warning you. It is here. It is at the door each and every day. Keep not silent. One thing about the Lord said, the same that endure, the same shall be saved. Verse 22 said, for as many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So we coming upon that time, a great economic collapse, a great famine in the land, food shortage, no water, no resources, no shelter. A lot of things are coming upon it. A lot of people are gonna be killed or be killed at that particular time. A lawless time is coming upon us, and that's what we constantly warning you about, left and right, man. Man, these things are right before our eyes. That's what we're constantly warning you about. Let's go back to Revelation. We'll close out here. Let's go to Revelation chapter, I think it's chapter 1 and verse 3. Revelation chapter 1, we'll close out here. Revelation chapter 1, verse 3. And it reads, it said, blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. So the time is at hand right now, you know what I'm saying? Who is hearing this word? The true believers of Yahweh by Shema Shai, the one that is truly blessed. And one thing about it, the Lord's getting ready to return. We constantly warn you that left and right. We're seeing a lot of false prophets on the rise. We're seeing a lot of people constantly bucking up, mocking and scoffing. But these things are getting ready to come to an end. When this time of trouble come, they shall seek the Lord early, but they shall not find him. And one thing about it is that, we hoping and praying, that the Lord hurry up and get us out of this nightmare. So we ready for this nightmare to end and get back with our Lord and Savior, and also that the kingdom of heaven that dwells in righteousness. That's what we're waiting for, our final rest. We ready to, we sick of all this wickedness, all this nonsense, all this rebellions. We ready to get back with our true power. You know what I'm saying? The Lord has overcome. We shall also overcome. Our salvation is at the door. So the title of the daily lesson, once again, is Watchman Report, More Prophecies. So I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, Kwam Yasharala, DTA Abab Abal, Shalom, Shalom.